the guys from Ping, they've kind of shown me how much the equipment matters.
I just love that I can hit any shot I kind of want.
We're going to be able to tell some fun stories about what goes on here to help golfers play better golf.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ping Proving Grounds podcast. Shane Bacon, Marty Jertson. We got Thriston Lawrence with us for the first time. And before we get into golf, I think we got to talk about the most important thing. We were just talking about fishing before we got going. Would you say fishing's number one passion over golf right now in your life?
Definitely.
You love it?
I think golf is a hobby at the moment for me, especially when I'm back home. You know, I don't tend to play a lot of golf back home, so golf is definitely second when I'm home. But over here, obviously, golf is priority. But yeah, fishing is amazing.
I mean, golf's the job. I mean, golf is what you do for a living. Did you get into fishing as a kid? Was this something you just recently got into, or have you always kind of been into it?
Yeah, I must say my father loved carp fishing, so always, as I can remember as a kid, you know, always went to lakes and we did carp fishing and always had a bass rod, you know, involved. So, you know, I would catch myself just standing in the water and just casting away. So it's always been a thing that I remember as a kid. And then obviously when you travel, you need to try and find a hobby out there when you're traveling. And I just thought, you know, fishing is the perfect example. You know, if I play in the morning, after practice in the afternoon, I can go fish for a couple of hours and it gets my mind away from golf, you know. So yeah, I just love it.
I mean, Marty, I think about like Yelping a restaurant when you're on the road, and I see Thriston like, what lake is near the golf course? Like, where can I go? Is that something you're doing, like research as you're going to a new place?
Definitely. When we arrived there on Monday, I checked straight away if there's a Bass Pro Shop. So went there on Tuesday morning, got myself 2 rods, and everywhere where there's water, there's a chance to maybe catch my PB. So yeah, it's amazing.
What does the travel look like I know you just picked up a rod at Bass Pro Shops, but what does the travel look like? Do you get a rod you can break down, put in your golf bag?
Yeah, so I actually find myself buying a new one every year. I've got like 2 3-piece rods back home that I can travel with, but just thought, you know, it's admin to travel with it and whatever. And then because I played in Dubai in my first tournament, so I'm not going to fish there. So I just thought I'll get myself a new one here, but then managed to buy 2. So, bit overweight, but yeah, definitely the rod always needs to be in play wherever I go. Definitely.
Got to be there. Can you take us back to the Open last year? Because obviously I think that was when you really burst on the scene for kind of worldwide golf fans. What was that week like? What was it like kind of sitting on the lead, obviously competing against some of the best players in the world in that level of an environment? And as you look back on it, like, what'd you do great that week, and what could you have kind of maybe buttoned up towards the end?
Yeah, it was an amazing week, you know, playing that final round in the final group of the Open Championship is just a dream come true for me. But, you know, arriving there, it's a normal tournament. It's a links golf course where I've won before in South Africa, in England. You know, my first ever amateur event was the Lytham Trophy in England, and I won that. So very, you know, familiar with links golf. And, you know, I think it's a sort of golf I like. You know, there's no perfect picture when it comes to links. You know, I was probably the only guy that did drive on almost every hole that week. So I just feel like there's so many ways to play, not just that golf course, but any links golf course. So just felt comfortable when I arrived there. You know, the golf was fairly good. You know, I missed the cut at the Scottish Open the week before, but unfortunate, made bogey in the last to miss the cut by 1. But golf always felt good, and like I say, I love links golf, and just the way I stayed patient that week. You know, not always tell people it's still just a normal golf tournament, you know, whether it's a major or waste management or a Sunshine Tour tournament. It's a tournament I want to win. I want to compete. And, yeah, it never got to my head that it's bigger than what it actually is. And I think that's why I managed to stay patient and do well.
Is playing in those elements, you know, all the weather, wind conditions, something you enjoy? You feel like you have an advantage in those conditions?
Definitely, you know, I'm not your stock shape guy. You know, I like to work it, and I feel like when there's something in the air, I can make it happen. I feel like I've got the all-round game to hit a lot of different shots. And I mean, I'm not too used to rain, so it's never fun when it's raining, but when it comes to wind and stuff, I know how to manage myself. And yeah, I've played in all types of conditions, so it definitely gave me, especially playing in Europe, where you can get, if you play in Denmark, it could either be 20 degrees Celsius or maybe 0 the next day. It can change so quickly. So that's where I think it also helped me that week.
You're an iron player. You mentioned shot shaping. What about on conditions when it's calm? You got left pins, right pins. Are you the type of player that hits your stock ball flight in there, or are you curving it into left pins and right pins?
I would say it depends on firmness of greens,
Yeah.
slope and stuff. This week it's not firm, but it's not soft, and there is a couple of slopes you can work it from. So it all depends on the golf course. I never tend to do the same thing every week. Whatever I see in front of me that instance, I try and figure out what's best for me and what I feel comfortable with. I've never been a guy that just say, okay, this is your stock 8 iron and you need to stand like this. Like, nothing is ever flat out there. The only thing that's flat is the driving range, and that sort of confuses me. So I just trying to get comfortable over it, because that's when I know I'm going to be at my best, committed through a shot, is to be comfortable. So, but I mean, I can hit it high, I can hit it low, I can feel like I can spin it whenever I want to. So, I mean, when it's calm and you feel like you're playing in a dome, I'll be very aggressive and try not to hit much shape.
Tristan, one thing at the Open that got a lot of attention was the length of your driver. And I'm kind of a proponent in general of players playing a little bit longer drivers, and we've seen a lot of our tour players go a little longer, with our drivers being more forgiving and just the premium on distance over accuracy. Your driver length is 43 3/4, I think, somewhere in that neighborhood. How did that come to be, and what advantage do you think that gives you playing a little shorter length than most?
Yeah, once again, being comfortable over it. Like, I always felt like shorter, like ladies' golf clubs, for instance. If I have to take a ladies' driver, it feels unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the shorter the better. Just my body feels like it's in a good position over the ball, and that's the most important thing for me, is being confident and comfortable over the golf ball. So, I mean, I was very short when I was young. I only stretched up, probably when I went to high school I got a bit taller. But so always short, I had a shorter driver, and then when I got taller, I just stick to the shorter driver. It felt, like I say, comfortable. That's my main thing in golf, is to be comfortable, because I mean, it's never perfect. You can't be perfect in this game, but if you're comfortable and you're committed over it, it's just going to make it mentally much better, I think.
Shane, I just think that's a great case for custom fitting, Shane, and why it's so important to bring in the X factor of your comfort level.
Well, I think about length. Like, you play a longer driver, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
but close to 46.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, yours is long. I mean, I'm more in kind of Tristan's world, where like you and I've kind of dove into this driver world,
Yes.
with the 12-degree driver that's kind of replacing the 3-wood.
Yep.
And again, like, comfort levels. Like, if I got a tight hole and I'm not comfortable with the big boy, using the shorter one, being able to kind of grip all the way
100%.
up on it and it feeling short in your hand. Even the 9-wood, I mean, I don't necessarily have the 9-wood in the bag right now, but I've been messing around with the 9-wood, by the way. I really like the shortness of it.
Yeah.
It just kind of feels, it almost feels fun to play with. I mean, I love what you were saying about just, as long as you're comfortable with what you're swinging, I mean, that's obviously the key to success.
Exactly. I mean, I went to Top Golf a couple of times in Dubai, and their driver lengths are like almost like mine. So it just a normal driver just feels awful for me. Like, I always hit it out of the hill. I don't know if it's mental how I swing it, but it doesn't feel comfortable. It feels like I need to get my elbows really tucked in, and it's just not normal for me. I don't know whether it's my arms are longer or I don't know. It just always felt comfortable, and if I could choose, I would maybe make it a 6-iron length, like Bryson. It just feels unbelievable.
Don't get into that world.
But it obviously,
we'll stay with what's working for you
exactly.
right now. When you go to Topgolf, what game are we playing? Are you like competing against your buddies? Are you going to have fun? What are you doing?
More just
hitting
for
shots?
hitting shots. Take family that haven't been there, so just see them hit. I'll hit a couple of shots and mess around and hit shapes and stuff and try and dunk it, but not really play any games on the
be a little
screen.
intimidating when one of the best players in the world is next to you in the bay at Topgolf, Marty. You're like, oh, this guy's probably got a little bit dialed in here.
Yeah.
Tristan, what you just got in the new G440 driver?
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about that process. What are you noticing there?
Yeah, so it took me a while to change. Spence and the guys fit me with the 430 in LA. What was it, 2 years ago, US Open, and I've been using that driver since. and I got it. I got the new 440 in November, end of November last year at the Netband Golf Challenge, and you know, it was good, but it wasn't the same. Obviously, they explained to me how the head differs a little bit. But yeah, did some good work at PING this week or last week at HQ, and managed to find a lower degree driver. You know, I normally play 10 and a half. So we tried the 10 and a half head and didn't really work, and then managed to get a 9-degree head and loft it up to 10, and it just worked straight away. It looked more like mine, felt way better off the face, a lot softer. I could definitely see a bit more like better spin control, where mine was sometimes it lacks spin and it just falls out of the air, and this one just feels like, especially the one my bad shot is out of the hill.
Okay.
And sometimes with the older driver, it just falls out of the sky, where this one keeps the spin and doesn't want to deviate as much as the previous one. So dispersion wise, it's way better. It looks amazing. It feels, the sound is great. Like, I like that softer sound. And
Every
you can,
pro,
I
every
know.
pro just like talks about the sound. It's so
Yeah.
funny. I mean, I remember when we first started talking about drivers, the acoustics being a thing. Obviously, you were pushing so hard, but it's just so funny. Every tour player wants to hear good sound with a driver. You know, and it's something that it's like something stands out right away when you hit something new.
For sure. You know, even the hill strikes that with the old driver, it's not as nice on the ear. You can hear it's not a good drive, but even the hill strikes now, it sounds more like the middle of the previous one. So overall, it's unbelievable. The fairway woods are the best I've ever played.
What do you got in it? What do you got in the bag fairway wood wise?
This week 3 wood, 5 wood, and then I've got a new 5 hybrid that replaces the 4 iron.
5 hybrid replacing the 4 iron.
4 iron.
Yeah.
So
What's the reason for that?
So, like we spoke last week when at HQ, like the 4 iron is more of a short ball 4 off the tee, where I can run it. I don't need to loft it and get it onto the green. And then when I actually had to use the 4 iron like into long par 5s or shortish par 5s, I couldn't keep it on the green. Like, the ball flight's just too penetrating, the spin level is down. So I would always maybe go to the 5 wood and slice the 5 wood rather than hit the 4 iron. So it was a club I sort of didn't want to use when I actually had to. So it just made sense to, Spencer just said straight away, why don't we try a hybrid? And I was like, okay. Last time I used the hybrid was like 8 years ago, and it was a 2 iron hybrid, and it went miles. It was almost like a 3 wood for me. So I wasn't sure, you know, I felt like I'm still too young to get into the hybrids and stuff, but I mean, straight away it gave me the exact same distance I needed. It gave me the ball flight I needed. The spin was great, like it's supposed to be for 4 iron. And it's just a no-brainer. So now I actually want to hit a 4-5 hybrid.
It's fun, isn't it?
Into a par 5 than the previous.
You like get
4
fired up to hit that,
exactly.
Yeah, 'cause
So,
you know you can stop it on the green.
And like Spence said, you know, why have a club in your bag that you don't use?
Right.
You know, why deviate away from something that could actually be beneficial for you? So yeah, no-brainer, and it's in the bag, and very excited.
Can you talk us through your journey into golf? Like, who taught you golf? How old were you when you started playing, and when did you start to realize like I'm actually good at this?
Yeah, so I think age of 5 I started. Well, that's where I can actually remember, you know, getting a set of clubs from my grandfather.
Your granddad was a golfer?
He was a golf. Both my father's father and my mother's father loved golf. So yeah, I just got into it straight away. But being a South African, you play all sports. That's a common thing. You go to primary school and you play everything. And I did. My father was a very good tennis player. So I played tennis, cricket, rugby, golf. But just, and then I just felt like individual sports is what I wanted to do. I knew it's probably just my personality, but I'm very competitive, and it felt like team sports. You're never going to be the best in your team because it's a team sport,
right?
You know, and
you've got to trust everybody else.
Felt
your
like, you know, trust your teammates, and sometimes like I was scrum off in rugby, and then I would pass a great pass, and then the fly would knock the ball or whatever. Then it feels like somebody's holding you back. And when in individual sports, it's up to you.
Right.
there's no blaming anybody. It's up to you to put in the work and succeed. So that definitely gave me the mindset that individual sport is the one is my direction, and then golf is what I love. My father ended up doing his PGA professional degree, and he started coaching me, and yeah, he's been my coach ever since. So
Still your coach now?
still my coach. There was like a 2-year period where I saw someone else just to get like different perspective, you know, when it's a father-son relationship, especially me going into my teens, you know, there's fights, and
Yep.
because he's my dad, he's right, I'm the player, I'm right, so you get your differences, but it was good for me as well, you know. I got taught, you know, learned a lot of new things from someone else, but yeah, I mean, my father's the one that gave me what I have today and taught me what I know today, and it's just the relationship was good, and it's worked ever since. So
When there's a college basketball coach that had his son on the team, and I remember reading a story, and he said, like, when they went to practice, I'm not dad,
Yes.
like, I'm coach. Like, how did you guys handle that as you started to progress and get better? Could you talk to each other as coach, you know, player, and not kind of do the dad son thing? Like, did you guys have a way of discussing things where it wasn't, like you said, dad's wrong, son's wrong,
Yes.
whatever the case may be?
definitely, I think when I got older, like to 15, 16, he was also my caddy in my first like amateur, you know, stint over in Europe, and as professional, I think the first 6-7 months he was my caddy,
Okay.
caddy as well. So he was dad, caddy, coach, and I think when I was like 14, 15, we had a fight on a driving range or something, and I just told him, listen, I respect you as my father, but when we're on the driving range, you're my coach, and I'm
You said that to him?
Yes.
Interesting.
I'm technically the boss because I'm the player, and then when we're on the golf course and you're my caddy, and then I'm still the boss. But I wouldn't be unreasonable or anything. You still respect whether it's your father or not. You respect your caddy, you respect
Right.
your coach. That's a big moral I have, but we just set that bar clear, you know, early on, because if I want to excuse me, if I want to swear on the golf course, I don't want my father to tell me, listen, you're being disrespectful because I'm your father. And I'm like, I understand that, but today you're my caddy.
You're right.
On the golf
Yep.
course, I need to get my emotions out in the way like I feel I have to. So it was important to get that, you know, levels of what relationship it is at that moment. And I mean, that's why we have a good relationship today and had great relationships on the golf course, on the driving range.
What type of things do you guys work on? Are you more technical side, looking at numbers, or is it more feel side of things? You know, what type of instruction? And
Yeah, so growing up, I played a lot of golf, so it was never really technical. I mean, if you look
Yeah.
at my swing, it doesn't look technical, it doesn't look like the normal swing. I just played golf, so we obviously worked on fundamentals and basics and stuff that I have in place, and it's not the best, but I think what helped me a lot is playing a lot of golf. I was fortunate enough to we lived on a golf course for about 6 years. So, and my father was the local pro at the golf course, had the pro shop, was in charge of the golf cart. So I would, after school, grab a cart, play 36 holes. Holidays, 5 o'clock in the morning, play 36 in the morning, I would play 72 holes in a day. Sometimes just take a 6-iron and play 36 holes just with a 6-iron. So
So good.
that's sort of the way I learned golf, and what I still believe in that works for me. I mean, I think it's tough one wants to get better technically, but if you this type of golfer, you can only improve on how I feel like how you've been taught and how you actually play, because to go from a field player to a technical player,
It's not who you are.
it's not who I am. It's not what I want to be.
Right.
And that's where I feel like I have an edge when condition gets tough, or
Yeah.
I really need to get into the fairway. I can hit a 40-yard slice and know for sure I'm not missing it left, bad shot right. I can hold the fairway if I want to. So, yeah, for now we just work on, obviously I take videos every week. He's not here every week, and we send it through just to see that the fundamentals is still fine. And I use the GC quad to look at numbers, only actually distances, not I can see the shape in the air. I don't need to look at a system that tells me it's moving left or right. I can see how it's moving, and just believe that, believe in the distances and work on that.
Yeah.
What was your big moment as an amateur player? Talking about kind of coming up in golf, and you have this family that's golfers, and you're getting taught, and your dad's kind of involved. What was your big breakthrough moment where you kind of started to realize how good you are?
I would say junior golf. Like in South Africa, we have a system. It's called the Junior Golf Foundation. It's every Sunday there's a tournament, 36 holes, and I think when I started, winning quite a few of that you can be 18 and still play those, but I was 12, 13, and
Beating those level kids,
guys, and even before that, I played the Callaway Junior World 2007 and 8 maybe in San Diego, and I finished, I think, 6th or something in my first try. I think it was the under 12s. I was 11 at that time, and I just knew that if I can finish top 10 in a tournament that everybody in the world plays in. I mean, if you look at America, the size compared to South Africa, the amount of golfers in America compared to South Africa, finishing inside the top 10 just gave me sort of that confidence that I'm good enough, and that's what I want to pursue. And like I say, winning a lot of junior tournaments, being a youngster, competing against 18-year-olds, made it just logic for me that I think I'm good enough.
When you were growing up, you're kind of like Ernie height of power. You have this kind of Retief run and things like that. Who was the golfer you were looking up to, thinking about, wanted to see in person? Like, who was that kind of golfing idol in your country to you?
Definitely Ernie Els. I think growing up, I was 5 in 2001, that sort of Tigers prime. Ernie was involved there as well, 1 and 2 in the world. So definitely Ernie. He was the big easy for us. He was the ultimate guy, the nice guy. I was fortunate enough I grew up in a town called Nelspruit. It's 40 minutes from Leopard Creek, and every year in December it was the Alfred Daniel Championship there, and Ernie was the big shot. He was the guy to look out for. So going there, from Thursday to Sunday, just idolizing, just be in awe every single time when you see him swing. He was the guy. And then I was fortunate enough to be in his foundation as well as a kid, and he helped me. The foundation helped me to actually get to tournaments, pay entries, pay flights, accommodation. So he's up, and I'm very grateful for him. He's personally never done something for me, it's the foundation that he created. I know him sort of well. When I see him, we don't chat over the phone or whatever, but he knows what he's done for me, and I know what his foundation has done for me. So he's my ultimate.
The guy.
He's the guy. Tigers obviously everybody's
right.
Tigers everybody's hero, but being a South African, Ernie's the one.
Yeah. Tristan, we talked about you being kind of a field player. I want to talk a little bit about your short game equipment. You use our S159H grind. Tell us a little bit about how you got into that grind, any changes you're making, and why you like that with your technique and your style.
To be honest, all around H grind is the best for me, but sometimes I do put in the 6 grind. I think it's the T.
Yeah.
I think this week I might put it in play, especially bunkers. There's quite a bit of sand, but it's tough to get through, so the 8 bounces too much.
Yep.
So the 6 just helps to dig a little. But the 8, my short game's really good, but it felt like playing American grass like Bermuda and stuff like that. The 6 sort of made me a bit tentative. I wasn't as confident.
Yeah.
It felt like it digs too much.
Yep.
And I got a bit, I don't know, not too confident, and where the 8 just bounces and glides through that grass like it's supposed to. So soft conditions, firm conditions, the 8 is just overall amazing.
Yeah,
it's just the bunkers where I feel like, especially links golf course where the bunkers are quite deep, the 8 just doesn't feel, it looks like it's coming out too low. Probably doesn't, but just for those type of bunkers. This week as well, there is quite a few deep ones that you really need to, short-sided ones that you need to get it up. So where the 6 might be a little better, but the 8's been overall amazing for me.
Shane, that's a question we get a lot from our listeners. Like, do the tour play? Should I carry 2 different lob wedges and change based
Right.
on conditions? I think a lot of the time the everyday golfer's playing mostly at one course.
Right.
I mean,
that's part of some of the tools you have online too, right? It's like you're playing your
Exactly.
golf at one golf course for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you have the data on that, but
Yeah.
the players, I mean, it's probably what 80-90% of golfers probably play most of their golf, if not all their golf, at the same place.
So Trista, you carry both the H and the T grind with you most of the
Yes,
time.
most of the time.
In between the
with-
fishing rod, yeah, it's like
Yes,
a rod and
exactly.
2
That's
wedges.
good
yeah.
separation for me to know where it all is. But yeah, definitely. Like I said, I didn't have the T here this week, so Spence and the guys pulled me one this week. I just felt straight away because I know last year it was a lot softer, so the H would have been better maybe. But I know it's firming up, and it really, especially around the greens, it's quite tight. So that 60 just helps because it doesn't dig as much. It's still fair, but it definitely works better than the H this week. Yeah.
Thriston, last thing for you. You play so well in the Open Championship. It gets you into the Masters. I mean, you talk about week to week, not making an event bigger than it is or a tournament bigger than it is. As you kind of think ahead to April, how excited are you to play in the Masters? And how do you keep yourself from getting kind of too amped up for it?
Yeah, I think you can see it in my smile. I just think the way they actually run the Masters is insane. Like how you get your invitation in December. I mean, for the PGA Championship, you get an email, or for the Open, you get an email. For the
It's like
the Masters-
handwritten.
handwritten.
Were you
know.
like checking the mail on a daily basis? or
So
what?
I was back home. It was just before Christmas, sorry, and we got a call. We live in like a security state, and got a call from the gate and say, UPS is here, and I was like, I didn't even know UPS works in South Africa. Like,
It's
and
like the one UPS truck.
yes, and I didn't order something, and I'm like, I looked at my girlfriend. I'm like, I think this is it. This is maybe the invite, and then I saw straight away, Augusta
cool.
National and whatever. So that just makes me excited. But just looking at the tournament as a kid, how special, how like limited field, but the amount of people, that golf course, I'm very excited. But once again, it's still a tournament. I'm probably going to be playing the week before, so only going to arrive on Monday. I'm really going to try and get there beforehand, even if I just walk it, just to be familiar with the grounds.
Have you ever been before?
Never.
Okay.
Never been. So I think that's important. I know I've been told like from Monday to Wednesday the condition of the course like changes,
Right.
gets firmer, gets quicker and whatever. But I think it's important to see it firsthand before the tournament. I don't want to get there and worry where's everything and
Right.
where's the first tee and how does the first hole look. I mean, you can see it on TV, but it doesn't
It all
do the
changes when you're there,
slopes
yep.
justice and whatever. So, but yeah, I'm very excited. It's an amazing opportunity. It's a dream come true. I mean, to play in any major is a dream come true. But I haven't played the Masters yet. I've played all the others, and I'm very excited. And yeah, I'm there to win. So
It'll be fun to watch it. And you know what? I learned something today. UPS is in South Africa. I didn't know that. So
Yes.
you taught me something as well. Well, good luck the rest of the year. It's been
you.
fun to watch you kind of go out there and do your thing and play the way you play. Hope it goes well, obviously, at Augusta National. And yeah, Thriston, it's just been a fun chat. And also, keep enjoying that fishing in the fishing boat. I'm
Thank you.
excited to see where you land in the States. This is the Ping Proving Grounds podcast.